Hi and welcome to this presentation. The title of our project is Real-Time Exoskeleton Control for Human-in-the-Loop Optimization. My colleague Yorgos and I have received funding for this project as part of Digital Future's demonstrator grants. Yorgos and I represent two different research units collaborating on this project. The KTH Movability Lab, which I lead, is a biomechanics-focused, fully equipped 3D motion capture lab where we also do a number of simulations and prototyping to decode, predict, and enhance human movement. And Yorgos from Mechatronics and Embedded Control, where he and that group have a lot of expertise in hardware design, development, and integration of mechatronic components and low-level control. So in one brief slide, I want to describe why we're focusing on walking and walking-related activities in this project. We, as scientists, know kind of a lot about human walking, at least normal walking. We know exactly how it should look, we know how the muscles should be working. And over the years, there's been a number of mechanical models that also describe human walking for its efficiency. We all tend to spontaneously settle on, for instance, a certain walking speed that happens to require the least number of, let's say, calories per meter walked. So even in persons with pathology, walking again is one of the most basic functions in daily activity. To the best of our ability, it describes efficiency or optimality. And Jacqueline Perry, who's one of the most premier scientists in pathological walking, describes that patients strive to retain this capability even in the presence of severe impairment. So in this project, we're focusing on function-enhancing lower limb exoskeletons that assist in walking-related activities. And the rationale behind this is that motor learning or neuroplasticity requires learning by doing. In other words, if a person has a motor disorder and wants to actually achieve lasting effects, it requires that they be performing the activities. And for this to work well, an excellent user-device interaction is crucial. While this branch has seen a lot of development in the past decade or 2 decades, there's still plenty of challenges that remain. For instance, the concept of assisting as needed is very difficult while promoting the user's current function. A device should address the actual goals of the patient or person using it, which can vary. Sometimes a device should reduce metabolic cost, make it easier to walk. Sometimes it should make it more difficult to walk, for instance, in rehab. Sometimes the focus is for motor learning or relearning, so focused, isolated activities. And sometimes they're a little less easy to find, for instance, improving function and participation in daily life. So in order to achieve this, it's a great challenge for a device to anticipate and adapt to different motions. And all of these are required for any kind of compliance that the user actually wants to wear this. So to summarize the problem statement, persons with physical disabilities are the largest minority group in the world. The UN estimates that about 1 billion people live with one or more disabling condition. And then, to recap, wearable robotic assistive exoskeletons have undergone a rapid development during the past few years, but there's a number of challenges remaining. And the third point, the definition of optimal exoskeleton control can vary widely among patient populations, among individuals, among treatment goals, etc. So the goals of this project are to design a testbed for exoskeleton development based on human-in-the-loop optimization, HILO. In this kind of a system, The exoskeletons should have a digital variable control at different degrees of freedom that can be adjusted based on user signals from biofeedback that relate to that person's goals. For instance, how difficult it is to walk, how much muscle activity there is in a certain part of the body, loading on a joint, etc. High-low goals can also be adapted to a number of different overall goals. For instance, to augment human performance, to make a user stronger, to assist as needed, as I mentioned on the previous slides, or for rehabilitation with, say, focused motions. So very loosely, there's two overall phases of the project. The first phase is physical exoskeleton design and production of modular components. So their idea is to have a unit for the ankle, hip, and knee that could work separately or could work together. And the other large phase is real-time assistance control synthesis. In other words, to be able to read in these users' biosignals and in real time to be able to determine how parameters of the variable controllers should be adjusted to achieve a goal. So in the next 3 slides, I'm going to show a few different projects that we're hoping to bring to a testbed status during the course of this project. The first here is a quasi-passive ankle exoskeleton with a very specific goal to reduce the metabolic cost of walking. The design is several springs, which I hope you can see, placed behind the ankle that engage in a certain order such that this variable stiffness actuator is optimal for that person and that walking speed. The prototype is being developed right now and we'll be planning some testing during the winter. The second project I'm showing is, again, an ankle exoskeleton, but this time designed for persons with ankle muscle weakness with a goal to improve walking function. You can perhaps see the design here. The actuator, or the motor, is worn in a belt around the waist, and cables reach down to a shoe to provide the torque to either lift up the toe or lift up the heel. And the plan over the next year or so is to implement a high-low function such that the motor torque profile is optimized for the wearer and the wearer's specific goals. The third and last project I'm showing here is this time a knee exoskeleton with the objective to detect the user's strength or ability to generate a torque and assist as needed during different motions. So in the diagram here, what we're developing is a control algorithm that should be able to read in the muscle activation and some basic information about kinematics, for instance, the joint angle, and then to be able to predict the current and the required joint torque to perform different activities. So over the next few years of this project, we plan for a lot of continued development of both devices and algorithms. We intend on performing studies on persons with gait deviations and motor disorders. We will focus very hard on both being able to detect and assist in real-time movement ability and movement intention. And we will be working a lot on different regulatory and ethical procedures required to perform this kind of research. So with that, I thank you for your attention and I welcome any questions.